What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In today's video, we are jumping into the full story that is Marvel Zombies: Dawn of Decay, covering all 4 issues. A new zombie virus has been unleashed. By all appearances, Groot is patient zero. Before all of this kicks off, Groot's already feeling bad. Not only because Rocket's latest scheme put them firmly in the crosshairs of the Avengers, but also he's just plain out sick right now. A sap dripping nose and everything. So when things go from bad to apocalyptic, all after an ill-timed sneeze in Captain America's face, Groot finds himself attacked by a horde of zombified Avengers. Only he and Hulk have the impenetrable skin to be able to withstand infection. So while the Avengers go on and wreak havoc throughout the entire city, Banner and Groot make their way to Avengers Tower to find a cure. But with Banner in Hulk's state, Groot's gonna have to try and keep Hulk in check to keep him on track and prevent him from using any of his deadly might on the zombies they once called friends. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so our story picks us up with both Groot and Rocket put in a cell. General Ross here with the Avengers, and they're trying to figure out why Groot and Rocket came here. They came to try and steal what General Ross has called a Project Terror laser. At least that's what Rocket calls it. He says that they were trying to steal it before someone else did and actually used it. But General Ross would go on to say that it's not a Project Terror. The laser that they're referring to has to deal with growing food. It's a prototype laser that modifies seeds to grow in harsh climates. And with the Hulk hearing this, he can't help but laugh. The Hulk laughs so much that Banner comes back. And General Ross says that we're gonna sweep this under the rug. The Guardians of the Galaxy are always seen as an extension of the Avengers. So this time they're gonna let him go free. But they ask not to make this mistake again. As everyone goes to leave, General Ross, he asks Captain America to sign the release forms. Both of them noting that the pen is rather leaky, and General Ross is blaming this on just buying cheap pens. But he signs the release, and before they head out, Captain America has a talk with Groot. And kinda like a dad, Captain America comes to him and tells him, I'm just disappointed in you. Like, I kind of expect this from Rocket. That we all make mistakes, but the difference is, you knew that stealing that laser was wrong. He's telling Groot that you really gotta step it up. As they all head out to the jet, Groot decides when he gets onto the jet, he's gonna try and have a conversation with Cap. Maybe try to explain himself and say something, but when he goes to have a conversation, Groot sneezes in his face. Now Groot's even feeling worse because not only is Cap disappointed, he just sneezed mucus into Cap's face. So going and sitting down after this embarrassing moment, Cap starts to get dizzy. He starts to feel a little sick in a matter of seconds. Captain America has been transformed into a zombie. The infection took hold quickly. And before Natasha could do anything, Captain America was on her. He takes a huge bite out of her neck, the infection sinking directly to her bloodstream. The turn to a zombie is almost instantaneous, with there now being 2 zombies. Natasha goes after Tony. Captain America charges at Thor. While this all gets underway, we have Banner, Groot, and Rocket that are standing in the back of the ship. Rocket grabbing his gun, ready to unload on anybody that stands in his way. And when Thor throws Mjolnir, it hits the controls of the jet. This system's going haywire. And as Mjolnir returns, Captain America is able to bite Thor on the hand. When Rocket goes to unload on Cap, Banner stops him from shooting. Kicking the gun, he accidentally shoots out the wall in the jet. Now a giant hole in this jet, everything being sucked out. Rocket Raccoon goes with it. That's where Groot jumps into action. With quick actions, he grabs hold of Rocket. He holds on to him for as long as he can. Unfortunately, everyone in that jet has been turned but Banner and Groot. When all of the zombies go to jump onto Banner, there's an explosion. One of the engines go out. The jet descending down to the ground. ground, doing a straight nosedive. Groot loses hold of Rocket. Banner's head gets knocked. He gets knocked so hard that Banner is rendered unconscious. And so Groot rushes over to his body. He protects Banner the best he can, recognizing that this is a no-win situation. As they begin to descend even further down, he's able to make it to a rooftop, jumping out of the jet. He's able to make a safe landing. And so when we pick up 8 hours later, we have Bruce that is waking up, and Groot is showing him the conditions of the city. In the 8 hours that he has been asleep, the Avengers have torn through this city. They have infected tens of thousands. This is when Banner starts to think, like, what can we do? From what he understands, it transmits through biting. That means the incubation, at least for the virus, is in the mucus membranes. He believes it all started when Groot sneezed on Cap. That nasty cold you have, whatever it is, it could be responsible, and that would explain the botanical growths that are coming out of their skin and mouth. To be able to make a cure, to create an antidote, they gotta make their way to Avengers Tower. The only problem is, Banner can get infected. Hulk is immune to it, unable to risk getting bitten. That means Hulk's gonna have to come out. The downside, the Hulk is easily distracted. He'd rather crush and kill anyone that he deems a threat, and that includes the Avengers. That's where Groot's gonna have to come in. Groot has to get him to Avengers Tower. No matter how wild he gets, Groot has to control him. This is when Banner smashes his hand. We see the green guy come out, and it is now the Hulk and Groot versus all the Marvel zombies. As we hop over to issue number 2, Hulk makes his way down into the streets, but he doesn't understand what's going on. He just sees the humans and thinks that they're acting rather weird. When they start biting him, that's when the Hulk starts getting angry. That's when he starts flinging people. That's when he starts throwing people. And Groot's doing everything he can to protect others, but Hulk is outraged, trying to figure out a way to get him off the streets. Groot, he suggests going into the park. Less humans to bug Hulk. And so when they go inside, they don't find much people here. Groot is sitting here trying to convince Hulk to go to Avengers Tower. But Hulk is just simply trying to tell jokes, getting even more furiated that Groot will say nothing other than "I am Groot." He also doesn't want to go to Avengers Tower. So while they walk through the park and they're doing all this stuff, someone has been waiting in the bushes. That someone is Thor. Thor coming out and hitting Hulk with Mjolnir. We see that Thor is still infected, with Hulk getting hit time and time again. Hulk gets flung into Avengers Tower, and Groot is ecstatic. Like, yeah, cool, you're there. But then Hulk jumps out the window. Groot's face of disappointment, absolutely hilarious. What we also see is Thor is not fully infected, that it's trying to take him over. Eventually, he's gonna lose this fight, but he's holding off as long as he can. He's telling them to run. Unable to control his rage, he grabs Groot's arm and rips it right off. That's when Hulk comes in and smashes the long-haired hippie god right into the ground. The two of them continuing their tussle. This is where we see Thor call Mjolnir again, and when the lightning hits Thor's arm, we see the infection almost dissipate completely. Groot does take note of this. This could be what is keeping Thor from being fully infected, his connection to lightning, subsiding the effects of the infection, but he can't stop it fully, with the infection taking hold in Thor, facing up against Groot and Hulk. It's simply too much for the infected god. But where Hulk is trying to kill Thor, Groot's just trying to put Thor down, to get him out of here. So seeing some tanks nearby, Groot uses his roots, grabs hold, entangles his roots into them, and then wraps them around Mjolnir. So when Thor calls Mjolnir to him, it also drags the tanks along. Those tanks smash Thor, smashing him down into the ground. Mjolnir goes flying, and Thor, in his weakened state, now pinned down. Hulk goes to finish him off, But Groot's not having it. We see Groot grab hold of Hulk. Using his arms, his roots, he wraps himself around Hulk's neck. And we see Groot straight put the Hulk to sleep. Groot throwing him over his shoulder. He goes to head out. But as he goes to head out, this is when he hears a voice. Something down in the subways. 72nd Street Station. A plea for help. A child calling out for her mother. Groot having to be the hero. He goes to investigate. This investigation takes us to issue number 3. When he gets down here, he looks around, but he doesn't really find anybody at first. So when the subway car comes crashing in, it derails, and all of the zombies that are on board, they're unloaded. Groot doing everything he can to protect Banner, with a pipe breaking that he's holding on to up in the rafters, trying to keep them safe. Banner falls, and with his fall, the zombies come at him. With that thump on the ground, Banner wakes up. The Hulk comes out, and the Hulk is ready to smash. And Groot's trying to talk to him, but Hulk, all he hears is "I am Groot." At this point, Hulk's tired of hearing it, telling him to say something else. Hulk hates "I am Groot." This is when Groot just goes off, repeating "I am Groot" over and over and over again. He's doing this intentionally. He is luring the Hulk away out of the subway, away from all of these people, getting him back up to the surface. And so once he gets him up to the surface, we hear a rumbling. And when Hulk is about to lay down a beating on Groot, the Hulk gets smashed. We have the arrival of a giant zombified Ant-Man. Smashing the Hulk, picking up Groot. He straight up eats Groot in one gulp. But if he thought that that was going to work, Groot quickly makes his way out, forcing his way out of the mouth of Ant-Man. Getting back to Hulk, he's telling Hulk, like, let's get out of here. We gotta get to Avengers Tower, we gotta go. But of course, all Hulk hears is "I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot." Hulk does understand the idea that he wants him to run away. And Hulk's like, no, I'm not weak, I'm not puny, I'm not running. This is when Hulk takes an idea from Groot and tries to force himself into the mouth of Ant-Man. Tries to destroy Ant-Man from the inside. Groot thinking back to what Cap said, telling him pretty much that he needed to step up. So he takes a sewer drain, flinging it like Captain America's shield, hitting the button and dropping Ant-Man back down, all the way down to regular size, and then shrinking down into the palm of Groot's hand. Having Ant-Man captured, they can finally get somewhere safe. Grabbing a doll of Rocket Raccoon, having some little catchphrases, he hands it to Hulk, and this gets Hulk to laugh, to where Banner can come back. With Banner coming back, he recognizes where they are, getting them to the base of Avengers Tower. But as soon as Banner comes back, Groot accidentally sneezes in his face. Both of them begin to panic. Both of them begin to worry. But when Banner doesn't change, he does take note that Captain America changed pretty quickly. This is when he is able to deduce that it was Captain America. He is the one who started the infections, not Groot. Before he sneezed on Captain America, General Ross gave him a leaky pen. He turned soon after this. Groot's cold had nothing to do with this. He is betting that that poisoned ink had everything to do with it. He's not sure how General Ross is behind this, or even if that was actually General Ross. But now they have to go create an antidote. To do that, they need the blood of Patient Zero. They need Captain America. So going into Avengers Tower, he puts out a live broadcast to the city. He calls out a message. He calls out to all Avengers. It is time for them to assemble. This is what takes us into issue number 4. Alright gang, so we're picking up an Avengers Tower. They know that Cap's glove, it was stained with the poison ink from Ross. All they need is his glove. If they can get that, they can examine the original virus and find a way to really neutralize all of it. So when he locks down the lab, the Avengers could probably still breach it despite their condition. So he's got to come up with a good little idea. Groot is going to be one of the only lines of defense, but he is not the only line of defense. Bruce knows the passwords to Tony's armors. He's gonna set all of Tony's armors onto autopilot and non-lethal combat. All they need to do is get Captain America's glove. And Banner, he's gonna be joining the fight, with Banner jumping into the Hulkbuster. We see him, Groot, and all the Iron Man suits. They stand outside Avengers Tower, and the zombified Avengers have assembled. Captain America not among them yet, but their goal here is to incapacitate. We see the battle break out, the fight getting well underway. Considering the odds, the two of them are holding this pretty well. But when Captain America shows up, he puts Groot on the ground. He goes to use his shield on Groot, but the Hulkbuster is able to grab him, is able to pull off the glove, thinking that they finally did it, that all they need to do now is get inside. This is when the zombified Captain Marvel shows up on scene. All of the Iron Man armors quickly put down, the Hulkbuster destroyed, Groot grabbing hold of Bruce, and they hightail it out of here. They lock down the lab before the other Avengers can get inside. These walls are only going to hold for a certain amount of time. Hopefully, it will hold long enough that they can create an antidote. While they're doing this, crawling around in the vents, coming out and surprising them is the zombified Rocket Raccoon. As he jumps at Bruce and bites him, we see Banner transform. The Hulk comes out, but the zombie infection has already kicked in. And so when he jumps at Groot, Groot jumps out of the way. The Hulk running right into the doorway, opening it up, and all the Avengers coming in. This looks like the end. This is when Groot gets an idea though, thinking back to when that lightning hit Mjolnir and kind of killed the infection on Thor. This is his Hail Mary pass. He sees the fire alarm. He reaches out and he hits it. The water pouring down on them. All of the Avengers jump on Groot, and Groot reaches out to a nearby outlet, hitting the receptacle. The electricity, like a conduit, surges through his body, and through him, he electrocutes all the Avengers in one fell swoop. Hitting all of them with enough electricity, the infection completely breaks away, with the Avengers free of the infection. We pick up a little bit later, and Banner is filling in Captain America about everything that's happened. How he got Hulk, the wild and uncontrollable Hulk, through the city to the tower, and used his fight against Thor to cure all of them. He also stopped Hulk from killing Lang and a bunch of innocent people. The truth is, everyone would be doomed without Groot right now. This is where Captain America apologizes for what he said earlier, saying that today you truly proved yourself. You are, in fact, a true hero. But now that they have control back, they have two objectives. Ross would never do this, so they need to find out who the impersonator is. Secondly, they need to cure the population, and shocking everybody, that's not gonna work. So they need an antidote. Trying to find a way to kind of nebulize a cure, make it an inhalable cure. They think they have a way of being able to distribute it if they can find Storm, but that means they gotta get in contact with the X-Men. That means they gotta get in contact with Xavier. But the truth is, they have no idea what is going on with the X-Men. They can only hope that they are okay. This is where we get a glimpse. Xavier hiding in Cerebro, and the zombified heroes that make up the X-Men team are breaking down the door. And that will be the end of this series. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Not a bad little mini-series, 4 issues, leaving the door open for more. You know, some of the things are a little bit silly in here, but sometimes you gotta just allow things to be a little bit silly. Not everything always has to make perfect sense. It doesn't need to be the greatest story in the world. Sometimes it just needs to be fun. You know, I think that's a thing that we forget sometimes. I see a lot of people commenting on things like the Aliens versus Avengers, where it's like, there's no way aliens could do that. We could break it down, and sure, theoretically, you got Scarlet Witch, you got things of that nature. Even in here, Scarlet Witch is severely depowered. Is it the most ideal situation, especially if you love that character? No. But is it gonna be the end of the world for an Elseworld story? Definitely not. You know, not every single story is gonna be groundbreaking, award-winning. Some stories are just meant to be silly, ridiculous fun. Taking characters you love, put them in a situation that you never expect, and trying to find a way to make it all make sense, while also still having fun with the idea. Now, there are definitely writers out there that can make a phenomenal story while also still being silly and fun, but let's be real, there are far and few writers out there, regardless of their stature, how long they've been doing it, that have the capability to really bring absolute bangers every time they write a comic. We also have to remember that some of these comics aren't necessarily meant for 35-year-old adults. Let your imagination run wild sometimes, guys. Remember that there is another generation of kids that are trying to get into comics as well. And stories like this, these are the kind of stories that I highly recommend to kids. Get them into these stories. Get them into thinking outside the box, taking the Avengers and putting them in outlandish situations, maybe jogging their curiosity of writing, creating their own stories. And these stories inevitably leading them to the more complex, the more in-depth, the more artistic works. It's all a journey, baby, and I, for one, am looking forward to seeing what happens with the X-Men. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that is going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel, but you are also getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.